Hey, I got a few quotes here just to, see what you think. This is Rumi. Rumi says, "You fool, why do you complain about the master's harshness? When a man beats a carpet with a stick, don't say he's being cruel. He's merely getting rid of the dust." So that's what happens. You mean our personality selves are just, rugs? Oh. Here's here's one from Baba. If you who keep company with me are sometimes attracted to worldly Maya, do not get disappointed. I too was once like you, but the grace of Baba Jan descended upon me, and she, the perfect saint, presented me with the pearl of God realization. Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes, yes, beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Now, here is Ramakrishna, the perfect master, back in the second half of the 1800s. He was illiterate, just a village boy, and he became God realized. And this was in Calcutta, which was kind of the center of intellectual thinking and everything. And these great scholars and everything would come to see this illiterate guy who who was the only one who was able to really talk about God. But anyway, and his metaphors are really darling. They're right out of everyday simple life. But here's one. A tortoise moves about in the water, but can you guess where her thoughts are? There on the bank where her eggs are lying. Likewise, do all your duties in the world, but keep your mind always on God.
Jeff, can you explain Baba, the one about Hazrat Baba Jan and how he was also unworldly? Can you read that again, possibly?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
If you who keep company with me are sometimes attracted to worldly Maya, do not get disappointed. I too was once like you, but the grace of Babajan descended upon me, and she, the perfect saint, presented me with the pearl of God realization.
Wow.
Not the apple of realization like Jen has there, but the pearl of God
Pearl.
realization. um, now,
Thank you.
He
I
was
think who is here? We have probably maybe at least one Zoroastrian here. Uh, but anyway, this is Zoroaster. O people of the earth, men born with the spirit of the divine within you, rise from your sleep of ignorance. Realize that your home is not on the earth, but in the light. I'll read that again. O people of the earth, men born with the spirit of the divine within you, rise from your sleep of ignorance. Realize that your home is not on the earth, but in the light. Now, I'll read one more. This is Rumi. Here we are, rejoicing without wine. Every morning we wake up glowing. Every evening we go to bed fulfilled. People say, there is no future for you. Yet here we are, rejoicing without a future. Yeah. So anybody after a bit, Shams will share a little bit about the Sikh, Guru Nanak, but and does anybody have anything that comes to mind or anything to share?
I have
do.
a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who?
Who's that?
Marcia.
Okay, go for it.
I got this book, Rumi, We Are Three by Coleman Barks.
Yeah.
And this keeps opening up, so I'm going to read it. It's page 51. Some gnats come from the grass to speak with Solomon. Oh, Solomon, you are the champion of the oppressed. You give justice to the little guys, and they don't get any littler than us. We are tiny metaphors for frailty. Can you defend us? Who has mistreated you? Our complaint is against the wind. Well, says Solomon, you have pretty voices, you gnats, but remember, a judge cannot listen to just one side. I must hear both litigants. Of course, agreed the gnats. Summon the east wind, calls out Solomon, and the wind arrives almost immediately. What happened to the gnat plaintiffs? Gone? Such is the way of every seeker who comes to complain at the high court. When the presence of God arrives, where are the seekers? First there's dying, then union, like gnats inside the wind. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And also, I was in the barn and I happened to photograph all the sayings that were from Baba. Does anybody want to hear those? Like that were, posted around the barn? I don't have to read that. I just thought it was kind of cool.
Well, yes, come in just a little bit later with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wrote one poem a long time ago. Do you want me to wait
Yeah.
till later? Yeah, later?
Yeah. Read that a little later.
Okay.
There is a line from Rumi, similar about the gnat, where he says, "In the howling storm of love, what is the intellect but a mere gnat?" So,
Jeff,
Dinku has something to say.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
Jeff, that quote you read out from Zoroaster, could you tell me where it's from? Because I've never come across it.
I don't know. I don't. I got it, and I didn't write down. I have these quote cards, but I didn't want to have all of the attributions because I thought it would take away from the sayings. So I don't have it.
Okay.
Dinku,
Thank you.
That could
Yeah.
be Dinku, that could be one of the gathas. I just have to find it in there.
Okay. Because
I-
there's so many translations of the Gathas that, I really
Right.
don't know which one is accurate,
Right.
which one
Yeah.
isn't.
And it could be just part of one of the gathas. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will look for it and I will share with you next time.
Thank
If I
you.
find.
Thank you, Mernaz.
Luckily, even if the translations are a little bit bad, with our intuition, we kind of know what's being said. Baba said
Yeah.
like most of what was attributed to Jesus in the Bible is untrue.
Oh,
And you can, when you read the Bible, you can tell, no, I don't think Jesus would have said this. I mean, if you read it, you can kind of feel what's a little bit exclusive or, a little harsh and everything. But I was surprised, because I always kind of felt that about the Bible. And then I read where Baba said that much of it was attributed to Jesus was actually were not his words. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Good, Dinku. Anybody else? Mayor Prasad, you usually have something going over there, or?
I can read one of Kitty's talk, a little bit of a couple of paragraphs on
Yeah, read it. Yeah.
a talk given at Meher Center in 1978.
This is Kitty Davy, for anybody that may not know her. She was one of the women Mandali.
Okay, so this is Kitty narrates in a talk given at Meher Center in 1978. Quote, "Now, the value of this provisional ego I see now lay in the fact that it brought the shift of consciousness away from the many objects to that of the one, Baba himself. And this change of direction brought about immediately an increase in our love for him, which evidently was lacking. It worked this way. Before beginning whatever work Baba gave us to do, we were to say, quote, Baba is doing this or that through me. He is the doer, the speaker, the thinker, end quote. Therefore, the results of our actions, failure or success, were his, and we had no need to worry. Of all the lasting lessons that Baba gave us, helping us along the spiritual path, this emphasis on the provisional ego remains the most constant.
Yeah. Now the provisional ego is one of the, I've tried it for periods of time and I've never been able to make it stick. I mean, when you think that way, it's beautiful. I mean, everything is much lighter, but then somehow it, you know, we start, I'm part doer and Baba's part doer, you know, and so but I once said to Marwan Jesawala, you know, I just what I said, that I, you know, I can do it for a time, but then it just never seems to stick. What can I do? And Marwan, this is Erich's brother, said, well, then do this. When you go, when you do something, say, Baba, you come with me. I'm going to the store, Baba, you come with me. And I'm going to pick some things out for dinner. You help me pick out things for dinner. And then he said, even if you have to go piddle, say, Baba, come with me. I have to piddle. So I said to him, that's perfect. That sounds like plan B. And he said, yes, that's plan B until we move to plan A, where it is Baba doing everything. But it's very hard. I mean, I found like some of this petty stuff I do, I'm thinking, God, I don't know if Baba could do that. You really have to, it's a revolution in the heart to imagine Baba is doing the good, bad, and ugly of ourselves. But that's the way to get free. It's a great, wonderful thing. And Kitty, you know, Kitty was like an embodiment of that. You know,
I found that it's hard to feel it, but mentally saying that helps a lot.
Yeah.
That has been my experience.
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel it, just saying it out before starting your work and after finishing your work, it really helps especially in dedicating that to him, in giving that whatever you did to him, it helps in that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Baba, you live this day, you know, for me, or you be the one that lives the day. That's magnificent. If as you say, keep at it. It's the best life. You can even do this when you live in Portland too, you know. Hey, I wanted to ask, hey, Alan, you know, you sent me that nice quote that Baba gave to the women Mandali.
Yeah.
Later on, if you could read that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. But hey, Jen, I wanted to ask you how you heard of Baba. I know a bit about your story, but the other people don't. Now, that's only if you feel like it.
Oh, I can share a little bit. And so I grew up in a town of 200 people in Oregon, a little small town, and Betty Lohman just still happens to live there in the very house. And so there was a couple, and this new family moved in up the street, and they had moved from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I started spending a lot of time up there. I babysat and I would help around the house. and that it's Jim and Jean Wilson. They still live out here in the Portland area.
Yeah.
And over time, Jean and I became very good friends, and just started sharing more and more. And one day she said, she gave me a picture of Baba. I was about, I don't know, 14 or 15. And she said, this is something that has helped our family a lot, or has helped me a lot. And maybe, you know, something will happen for you. And so she gave me this picture of Baba. And then I think one of the funniest pieces of that was I would ask more and more about Baba, and they gave me some books to look at. And one of the things I loved, for some reason, I loved reading about the perfect masters. And I was reading about Sai Baba, who I would say, you know, was my favorite at the time. And I remember it talks about how he was a ghoul and he would take himself apart. And I remember having this I clearly remember this thought, thinking, well, this is a little bit out there, but if they can believe this, maybe someday I can believe this too. And then it took me about 10 years, and I finally went to India in my early 20s. And I had met Bao when he had come to Portland, and I was curious and always just kind of circling around in the Baba community, but very standoffish. And I came to Meherbad. There's a long story. This is the condensed version. And
Yeah.
I came to Meherbad, and everybody kept saying, you know, go to the Samadhi and do this and do that. And I was like, no. And so I took off and went traveling up north. I was like, I'm leaving and I'm going to go traveling. And there are a lot of people that were concerned that I was taking off by myself. And then other people that said, you know, kind of intervened and just said, you know, let her go. She'll sort herself out. And I remember I had the Lonely Planet guidebook to India back in the day, which was about 2 inches thick. And I decided I was going to go to Mount Abu. And Val kind of looked at me and laughed. He goes, oh, Mount Abu. I said, yeah. And he said, you know, Baba spent time in seclusion in Mount Abu. And I remember thinking to myself, I have a book that's 2 inches thick, and I had to choose a place where Baba went, right? So I took off and traveled a couple days by train. And I was up in Mount Abu, and there's just a lot of beautifulness around that adventure, and, you know, crazy train stories traveling through India in the late 80s. And I went up to the highest point in Rajasthan, and it's considered a sacred spot. And I walked around it, and there's a beautiful view. And I got back and I looked down, and I realized I hadn't taken my shoes off, and I felt really bad about this. So I thought, I'll take my shoes off and I'll retrace my steps. And this time when I came around, in the middle of this was this big rock, and there was like a little cave and a little man sitting in there that I hadn't even noticed the first time. And he was handing out little cups of milky water, and people were going up there and drinking it. And I already had some issues. And so I was like, I'm not going to drink that water. But I poured it in my hand, and I just kind of threw it over my shoulders. And in that moment, it's like this veil was lifted, and I knew I had to go back to Meherbad. And then, now I'll cry. And yeah, I arrived back and went into the Samadhi for the first time. And
Wow.
it was Nanakar. It was Nanakar who said, welcome home. And
Sure.
it was beautiful. And yeah, that was the I call it kind of that zap moment where, you know, you got it and you realized that
Yeah.
this would be path forever.
Beautiful. And you have, since you were a young lady, all the way to now.
Yes, I know it was many years ago. But
Yeah.
it was and so many beautiful things of course happened along the way.
Yeah. Beautiful. Hey, so anything else? sometime or other, it would be nice to get Marinaz. You've shared a little bit already, but sometime to describe how your father behaved. I mean, what you saw in him. He was one of the Prem Ashram boys, and you know, who were exposed to divine love when they were very young, and what the impact it has on the human soul. But anytime you feel like sharing that, and you don't have to do it now if you aren't up for it.
Thanks, Baba, for saving my life once again.
Yeah. So you anytime. It's a standing invitation.
No, I'm just shy in front of camera, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're all blind here. We don't even know what we're doing. Well, Alan has got something beautiful, that a letter that Baba wrote the women Mandali back in 1934, I believe. Yep. Here he comes.
Yeah, just 1 second. I got to get my headset.
Ganesh, how you doing?
Doing very good. So
Yeah.
it's just been Mara's birthday, a very auspicious day for us. So
Yeah.
it's still in that festive season, and that celebration is still in the air.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
most beautiful soul I ever met. I mean, the inner beauty was really something I had never witnessed before. And the outer beauty, especially in the early days. Boy, was she truly a classic beauty. But that was minor compared to the inner beauty. Yeah. Okay, Alan.
Yeah. Well, I really would like to know who Marinaz's father is or was, but I'll find that out after I read this, I guess. So this is, can you hear me well? Is it all right?
Yeah.
Or my mouth too close to the mic? No?
No, we can hear you well, Alan.
Okay. Mehrabad, Ahmednagar, February 12th, 1934. My darling Gopis, I received your letters. I find in them a tone of depression ever since I cabled you that my coming to the West for the present may not be probable if the film project didn't work. I understand why you all, dearest, feel like that, and do not at all blame you, because it is your love for me that makes your living lifeless. You have no idea how sad I feel for you. However, in spite of all this, I want you to be happy and cheerful, for who knows, the film project might work any moment, or I might come anyhow to see you. I have to work in my own way, having had to look to everything in these times of great spiritual upheaval. What it means, you have no idea. You all have to do great work for me in the future, as and when allotted to you, and you must be in full spirit and strength for all that. This mental depression tells upon your health and energy, which are both essential for future work and should not be unnecessarily wasted like this. I see in some a spirit of depression, total dejection at times. Why? If a cable as I sent makes some of you so dejected and unhappy and spiritless, how am I to prepare you for the work? Have you any idea of the greatness of the task that is ahead for the spiritual upheaval of the world? It will require a spirit that is prepared to face anything, rigid and immovable like a rock, weathering all blasts of wind and storms from all four corners. You all have in you that latent, that spirit and iron will, and I am working at all that to bring it out. But this means some of you don't want to let me do it, crying out at the smallest touch of the tender chords of the inner being. It means more work for me. I quite understand how you all feel. I fully well realize all your circumstances, family, social, and even national. I know all, how some of you have to look to questions of your nearest and dearest in family, how your close contact with me is an, quote, eyesore to society, and how it affects your social standing and even the national spirit, which clamor as they do at what they consider to be your weaknesses and whims. But to bring you all out and to enable you to rise above all this and see and realize life as it really is what I am working at. For you all have a very deep connection with me for ages and have a very important part to play in my mission, much above the ordinary problems of life on the physical plane, and much more important than the most vital questions and problems of the time engaging the attention of the world. But for that, you have to come out of all this mess of Maya, binding, and illusion. I'm trying to loosen and untie, one by one, the innumerable knots that have surrounded your very being. That is why and how you quite unknowingly feel no interest in life at times, and even feel lifeless sometimes in a world around you full of life and activities. In short, you have one step already out of the world, having risen above things to that extent, even though you are not conscious of it. I see clearly, and now am trying to take the other step out to make you free, untied from the bonds of Maya, to soar in the higher regions where the soul, having realized itself, is the master of all life, love, and bliss, one with your beloved, never again to be separated. Remember, you are all mine, nearest to my heart and ever in my thoughts. And this coming and going to and from the West is now to be settled once and for all. I want you to be with me much more even than you want me to be with you. But there is an inward pleasure and happiness in our desires unfulfilled than in those fulfilled. The pangs and sufferings of separation are essential for the experiencing of the bliss of union. If there is no darkness, none would appreciate light. So if you did not suffer separation and feel what it means and get that experience, how could you ever have appreciated love? Now, I am trying to give you something else, which will enable you to realize fully what real love is by giving you experiences you never had, but which will teach you every step new aspects and the significance of love, which will bring you nearer every step at the same time, and at the same time prepare you for the future work that you have to do for me. You darlings don't know what is going on behind the scenes, and in your utter childlike ignorance you cry, I don't want this or that, I only want such, and so on. That is why I am not at all angry or annoyed, but love you. Whatever you are mine, my own, my heart. Soon, great events of great changes everywhere will transpire in rapid succession, transforming the very ideal and outlook of life all the world over, and a new awakening for the life spiritual will result, as I have been repeatedly telling you. You are all being prepared for your different parts in this great divine drama that has to be enacted, and in which I am to play a leading part. Are you not glad that you have to play your parts with me? I am writing to each of you individually next mail. All my love, MS Irani.
And that was just before with World War II, kind of all of the forces leading up to that. And we have another situation here, worldwide pandemic that we are all having to face. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I just picked up this book. What was Darwin's last book that he wrote?
Effort and Grace.
No,
As Only God Can Love.
As Only God Can Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just picked that up, and I was reading that, and one thing that is peculiar is the fact that Darwin brings to the reader's mind that Baba is present in our daily lives, not just in the sense of like when we think about him, like that's nice and all, you think about his name or you think about the stories or whatever, but the very truth and significance that you can actually attune to him in any present moment that you find yourself in. And it's as if one could imagine even that he is physically, if he was physically on the earth, how would you be acting, or how would it affect your mind in that instance? I like to think of it like if he was physically, if you knew Baba was 30 miles east that way or something, would it incite and inspire and bring something more to life to your cells? Would it change the way that you felt? I don't know. I've been practicing or sitting with that thought, but I'm just curious if you relate to that in yourself.
Yeah, why not think that he's over on the sofa in the room
Yeah.
with you there?
Yeah.
That's even closer. Because I once said to Marwan Jesawala, I quoted where Baba says, "Live more and more in the present, which is ever beautiful, and stretches away beyond the limits of the past and the future." I said, "What does that mean to you, Marwan?" He said, "You will only find Baba in the present. You won't find him in the past or the future." He said, "People spend so much time thinking about the past and the future, and they let them slip away right in front of them." He kind of just made a gesture, and you let them slip away right in front of you. It takes audacity. To me, it takes audacity to imagine that Baba is right there, right here with us, right in the same room, actually, that we're face to face. That there's a psychological hurdle to say, "Oh, no, he doesn't like me. I'm not that interesting." I mean, no one in the neighborhood is that interested in me. I mean, could Baba be interested in me? Yeah, we have all sorts of like these blocks. He actually loves and adores us and enjoys us, but we apply the same kind of, we're going to say, standards that we might project on other people onto Baba. Well, he is there following every little thing that we do, the way a mother would follow her little child out in the yard, that intimately. So, but it has to be claimed, I mean, what I gather from Darwin and Erich and the Mandali is never think that he's not right there watching you, interested in you, not because you did such and such or you did that, just as you are, in the present. But there's a resistance. I mean, well, the subconscious is there trying to say, well, maybe when you kind of get yourself finally together, then Baba can be right in front of you. Well, you never get it together.
So it's like the course of thoughts, that it's like one thought could take you onto that train that station that you really don't want to go to, but it's kind of like that station that the trains just go in circles over and over again, same over and over. But then it's hard to pull ourselves out of that or believe that there's a station beyond that, or there is, in fact, you can get off the platform and be free with him.
Yeah. And even just his company. I mean, he has been he has been accompanying us from the beginning to the present moment. Well, we if we can turn that around and enjoy his company. I mean, he enjoys our company, then it behooves us to enjoy his company. But the thing too is that I always say, well, how do you think of him? Is he a judge? Is he kind of bored with you? I mean, put on to Baba the very best traits, because he is all those: patient, fun-loving, someone who can listen to your worst problems, doesn't judge you, all of that. And then he could be there, but there are all these I mean, what I say is people grow up and they tend to project the tenor that they've had with their parents and their teachers and their friends. That gets projected onto Baba. And that's the way people have related to me, and it unconsciously gets projected onto Baba. But it's, if you're not careful, it gets, but you think, how could Baba be interested in me? That's a hurdle. I don't think David Defoe has that problem. Uh-oh, he's gone. Where's David Defoe? Where did he go? He was there a moment ago. Marcia, in a little bit, we'll have you read your poem, but not this moment. Let's, but go, what do you think? Let me ask Ganesh, what do you think?
Let him read the poem. Sorry, I didn't get your question, Jeff, clearly. You want me to comment on what you said, or you are asking about?
Yeah. I mean, well, it gets kind of personal, but could Baba be in the room there with you and your mom?
Yes. So I think Baba is very much there. It is we who are, I mean, in our own jungle of sanskaras that we are working it out. So the moment they become lighter, we can feel more of his presence. It's making that effort to be aware of him. That's what I think. We need to make that effort and be aware of him. I remember once Balnathu said an interesting point, and he said that when you're going to a shop and you have so many shirts and you want to pick up a shirt, you want to buy one shirt, and you can always ask Baba, Baba, which one should I pick up? And if you sincerely ask, he said, you will get the answer.
Yeah.
You will get the answer. He will somehow give you the answer, from probably prompt you within some way. It's like we need to make that effort of getting him in with us.
Yeah.
So that effort of asking him and that effort of trying to tune to get his answer is something that we need to do.
Yeah, and we think, oh well, that just asking Baba about what suit I should buy or shirt I should buy. Oh, I shouldn't bring him down and bother him with that. Hey, what makes you think that he doesn't enjoy that type of thing? That you include him instead of,
yes,
Baba, forget it, I'm going to get my shirts over here.
Yeah, I don't know, and then it's usually we go with this attitude: why should I bother with such a silly thing? And then we spend a lot of our time and thought over what we on silly things. Instead of that, we can get him into that and feel more of his, and he will surely help us.
Yeah, Baba said to Lynott, I am more human than you are. So it's getting him down. I mean, of course he's divine, but at the same time he's delightfully human. Kids love to be with him, and it wasn't like they had to kind of get to be a certain pious state or something like that. You know, they had fun with him. I'm going to ask Telly, what do you think?
You know, just today and recently, I've had thoughts like that about Baba. You know, like how does God take interest in me anyway? You
Say
know,
that again.
how does God actually have an interest in me? You know, it's I've had that kind of thread of thought. So it's come up in this conversation tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And a good reminder to ignore that ego stuff and invite Baba into whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he really enjoys us, even if we don't enjoy ourselves. He enjoys us not enjoying ourselves.
Right.
He's not put off by a boredom or unworthiness or whatever. I don't feel. Mayor Prasad, what do you think? Put him on the spot.
on feeling Baba's presence, or what? Which one?
Yeah,
are you-
and how do you think of him being with you? I mean, I don't know if I'm getting that. That's kind of getting a little bit personal, but
Yeah, I know. It's definitely not, not always that we feel his presence, and I think not feeling his presence is actually a good thing because it generates and increases the longing
yeah,
to have his
beautiful.
presence. So um, to me, it's the times where I don't feel him, or when I feel that he's not around, is actually more more painful, and that pain is itself. Um, there is a weird satisfaction in that pain, and
Yeah.
I think that that's what Baba calls longing, and so I don't know. It's
Yeah. You don't lose anything either way.
Yeah.
But whether you feel him, miss him, or you experience him. Beautiful. No, that's wonderful. I think I've mentioned this before. Like on one of my trips to India, I was saying Baba's name inwardly from the Myrtle Beach airport, 11 days in Australia and 30 days in India. You know, Baba in behind everything. You know, I was emanating Baba's name, except when I was talking with people. Just Baba. He was either with my footsteps or even just with an in breath and out breath. And so I did all of that. And then on the night I was leaving, in the middle of the night, Baba woke me up at 3 in the morning at Mehrabad. And this is what he flashed to me. I'm putting it into English, but he said, all these weeks you've been remembering me and saying my name so faithfully, but you seem to forget I'm here listening. You know, when you say his name, he's there. I mean, if I say Mayor Prasad, I get your attention, or Priya, you out of a crowd, you'll look. Well, Baba, I mean, I was just thinking of just emanating Baba's name, but hey, when you say his name, he's there. I mean, he's there. Well, what I mean is it dissolves some of the veils so that he is more there, even though he's always there, but more there. You experience him being there. So saying his name, from that moment, I mean, it was worth the entire trip. So when I say, Baba, think that, he shows up in a special way. It's not just, oh, Baba, he wants me to say his name, so I just say his name, Baba, Baba. it's more personal than that. Yeah.
Someone asked Iruch whether we were kidding ourselves that Baba is here with us. And Iruch said, yes, initially we have to kid ourselves that
Yep.
Baba is here. And in the end, we will find that we were kidding ourselves when we say Baba is not here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the proper use. I mean, what I gathered from Darwin and Erich, and the proper use of the imagination is to imagine that he is here with you, personally interested in you, thoroughly interested in you. And in the end, you'll find that that was true all along. You know, that's the proper use of the imagination rather than, you know, how you can make a lot of money on the stock market, you know. Yeah.
I may also add a
Oh,
little,
yeah.
which you people must be knowing, that Baba one time said, why you should repeat my name, or why should you call me often? Because I am in the habit of sleeping. And when you call me again and again, I am awake and is near you. Jai Baba.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Let alone
Mm.
sleep, I won't even, let alone doze, I won't even be able to sleep. I think something like that.
So,
Yes.
like, so actively getting it in. So there is one thing where we can actively involve him. That's what I think from that.
Yeah. Marcia,
For the last few days, I've been, feeling, well, where's Baba, and taking his name like a gazillion times. And then all of a sudden, I realized that he pushes you, it's true, he pushes you away and you long for him. And then suddenly he's there and shows you something really special. And like today, at night, I've been going outside trying to track the planets lining up. And I drove to the edge of this lake today and I took all these pictures that I want to share with people, with the moon and I was watching for the planets, but I was looking in the wrong spot. And I saw this Indian family and they had a telescope and they were all having so much fun and so happy. So usually I wouldn't walk over. So I went over and started talking to them. And he said he took a picture of it and I just missed the planets. So he sent it to me. So I have it and now I know where to go tomorrow to look for it. But I did Tai Chi out there on this pier, and it was very cold. I was almost frostbite, but I felt so great. I knew I was supposed to be there at that moment. And I did Tai Chi, and I said, wow, it's such a gift because like you said, we're all in where Baba wants us to be to play our part. We don't even know what it is, but we're all the pieces of this puzzle, for the new life and his work. And it's just so he's in, you don't have to, I mean, lately I've been seeing him, when I go to sleep a little bit, but I feel like he's with all the heart meditations and all that, he's in you, but sometimes we have so much junk, that we don't, we obliterate him, But
yeah, beautiful.
we're our own worst enemies.
And like I say, all that, the longing kind of burns up the junk.
Yeah.
And burns away the veils.
Well, before I left Chicago, I lived in the same apartment. I don't know if you want to hear this stuff, but I don't really share this with anybody. I lived in the same place for 30 years across from this park and perfectly beautiful apartment and happy. And then somebody moved in and was a drunk. And for 7 years, I was miserable. And I got to be the point where me and my dog, if we didn't get out, we were going to have a heart attack. And then all of a sudden, this place opened up here and Baba kind of whisked me out of this universe where I couldn't survive anymore and put me in a place that is so special that I'm like, oh my God, how did I get so lucky to be here, And then I just, sometimes I feel crummy and then I just listen to what Jeff said, and, change your pattern. And, if you don't feel Baba's there, just say his name a gazillion times. And then in these little ways, all of a sudden the sun will pop out, and he's there. He's very busy. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate.
Yeah. No, We are so lucky. I mean, a lot of people have nothing they can, when they feel empty, they have no place to go.
I know I'm so lucky he gave me my dog, and the dog looks like one of his dogs in a book I saw. And so I feel like I have this Baba dog that I have to take care of. But if I didn't have I was married for 16 years and everything, and I have a daughter, but right now it's just me and the dog. But there's so many nice people out there. I didn't think I'd meet people, and then I was thinking I'm really lucky, and I'm feeling guilty that I'm feeling that I have everything so good and there's so many people suffering. And then I remember what everybody said, that Baba, like you might do the littlest gesture and somebody will pick up on it and you don't even know what you did. So like I have this dog that loves everybody. She gets down on all fours whenever she sees a person or a dog, and then they say she's friendly, and then she goes up to them and she wants to like kiss them. And one day this man came up to me and I was feeling sorry for myself. Well, I'm not doing anything. I'm feeling guilty. I'm a waste. And then he said, "Can I pet your dog?" And I said, "Well, okay, And then I kind of jokingly said, "Oh, I hope you don't have COVID," right? And anyway, he pet the dog and he said, "You don't know how great that made me feel. I really needed that." So I said, "We don't know what Baba is going to give us or what we're supposed to do." And I'm really starting to try to come out because I'm very been inside myself. And I know all the artwork that I do and all the writing, everything comes through is from Baba. So I'm going to read the poem and then I'll shut up. But I just found this. I write almost every day because Baba says it's good to journal, and it kind of things come through you. So this was Thursday, July 30th, 2020. Leave behind a sad heart. Leave all your troubles to me. Your fears, your lust, and your greed. All of these are meaningless in your search. You've returned to me. There is no you, my, or me, but us. You and I are one. From the infinite ocean, we have come across time and space. From the infinite ocean of earth, wind, and fire into the sea. You've arrived on the path of tranquility. Right all your wrongs. My gift to thee is love setting you free. Jai Baba.
Beautiful. Lovely, Marcia. Yeah. Excellent.
Well, I have to learn how to do this technology, if anybody can help me, because I'd like to share photos like from India and paintings and things, but I really put some stuff on Facebook and I don't feel comfortable about it, It's kind of like you were talking the other day, I paid attention, you were talking about ego. And then I said, well, Bob, if all the artwork that I'm doing, I feel comes from Baba, then I shouldn't feel uncomfortable about sharing it. But then, your ego kind of gets in there and I kind of and I find myself looking at Facebook to see if anybody's looked at my artwork, and I almost wanted to take everything off. So I don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff yet, like getting out
Well,
there.
maybe when we get Angela, she's a whiz on this stuff.
Yeah, I need
if you
some
can
help.
get her before one of these programs begins,
Yeah, because you know what the problem is, you don't know what you should share with the public, and you don't know what you can know what you can share with friends, but something should go out to everyone. You know what I mean? Not just to, do you know what I mean? But then I'm saying, well, like I put some things out the other day, and then I felt like, oh, and I got up in the morning and I said I should have taken them away, and then I said no, it's probably Baba put me in a situation, so I'm just gonna just not look at it and just let it be. It'll go away, whatever I put out there. So anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Marion, how are you doing? Oh.
Hi. Hi, I am listening, and I am so grateful because I've had kind of a rigorous few days here in New York City, a lot of family things going on and things I'm handling around the holidays and all. So to come on tonight and hear all of these quotations in your conversation, it's just been very, very soothing for me.
Good.
So I don't have a quotation up my sleeve right now.
Yeah, no, but beautiful. Alan, you got anything there that's percolating?
I'm curious if you have ever had the experience of kind of, I think you've talked about it now in this part of your life where you can sort of tell when you wake up in the morning and there's that kind of that fog you mentioned, or that those clouds in the morning.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can work with even thoughts in such a way where if you kind of recognize, even if it's like very very sneaky, sometimes you can have these thoughts that are like come in as disguised as good thoughts, or disguised as like this is the truth, but there's almost like enough time as you've been with Baba where you can kind of tell when when it's a false thought. Do you know what I mean? Like the nature
Yeah.
of it feels, the sense of it is actually, this is not true, and therefore it can just be dropped, rather than having to tussle with it and being like, "You're not true, Baba, right? It's not true, right?" No, like yeah, you don't have to go back and forth, but you could just kind of actually drop it into the pond. And I just wondering if
Well,
you work with that.
yeah, I mean, to make a distinction between intuition and thought
Right.
is critical, and they're quite different. I mean, they have a different vibration, and after a while, I mean, I just discount thoughts. Thoughts have nothing to tell me. Feelings are closer to having something to tell me. So I just thoughts. Baba said, let thoughts come in and come in and out, go in one ear and out the other.
Now,
Um,
what does that mean exactly to you? Because that's a very simple but very
um,
profoundly complex thing to my mind.
yeah, the thing is that after a while you discover that thoughts are actually not true. They don't really have anything to tell you. I mean, except how old you are and what time you have to be at work, but it has nothing to tell you that's really essential. An intuition is invaluable, but thoughts come from a different place, and I find that thoughts are, if you give them value in one place, then you're going to be hassling with them in another place. In other words, if you think, oh, that's a good thought, well, then if you believe that that's going to be a good thought, then you have to get the bad thoughts. I feel don't give any value to thoughts except on just a practical level. They don't have we for lifetimes and lifetimes we go to the mind and say, what's the truth? We really need to go to the heart and say, what is the truth? But for eons of time, it's like the mind is the authority. And that Darwin used to talk about the tyranny of the mind. It has to become bankrupted. And um, it has to be like to see through that, you say you wake up and you have all these thoughts, or what the day is going to be like.
Well,
Will
for
they have
me,
any
it's a bunch
help?
of anxiety and a bunch
Yeah.
of jumbling of like what I think's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. And did it serve any purpose?
No.
When you see it enough times, wow, that didn't help at all. Or you're
Right.
thinking of all of the things that we think about. Eventually, we see that's really not. There's not enough substance and richness to it. But that's why, I mean, as I've said many times, Eric said, bring your consciousness down, follow your feelings. Follow your feelings and don't go up into the head. If you go up into the head, come back down again. Just keep coming back down.
Is
And
that
then
part of the thing
eventually,
where Darwin says to be daring? Is that what that means?
not exactly. I mean, daring. I mean,
daring to like jump across the abyss that Baba talks about, or like, is that part of that process?
Yeah, I mean, daring can definitely help, but this is really just, I think, persistence.
Mm.
Just go down at the heart level. And I've said, if I insult you and I hit your heart, you get hit, but then you go right up into your head. Now
Right.
you're thinking about how you're going to get back at me, or how to
Right.
retaliate, or how to protect yourself from me. And so you're already one remove away from the actual event, which is hurt to the heart. So you stay at the heart and don't go up into the head. And think about it.
So you stay with
Yeah.
the pain.
Feel it, feel about it, but don't think about it.
Mm.
Over time, you won't have very many thoughts at all. They're just really, because there's lack of interest. There's no interest in it. So you get to live at the heart level. That becomes your permanent base of operations.
Right.
And then your soul eventually has to become your base of operations. But the heart is the is the threshold.
Mm. Is that any? Oh, go ahead, Ganesh.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Alan, you were saying something. You can go ahead. Then I can I can ask.
Okay, yeah. The question I had was just, is that relate to when Esfandiar talks about resting in the dell and opening the dell and seeing Baba in the dell, and I mean, is that related, that resting in the heart space, or coming to the heart again and again? In that way, in that way, that's how we do this work, quote unquote. It's like, because he was always saying about working towards, or doing this work with Baba. Is that similar, what you're saying, to drop?
Well, the Dell is when you're kind of getting established at the level of the soul.
Uh-huh.
That's a deeper, more, that's more timeless and spaceless. More, but get down to the, I mean, this is just my opinion. I mean, get down to the heart level. It's painful to experience all the emotions. I mean, first you got all these like negative emotions and hurtful emotions, wounded emotions, but eventually you start to move over to the divine qualities. And that becomes your base of operations, which is patience, gratitude, kindness, humor, cheerfulness, forgiveness. Eventually, we move into that. Then you're moving in to the soul. But get down to the level of heart is a.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
when you were saying this, you said stay at the feeling level. Something I really want to understand, because when you said that, even last time I tried to practice and all that. So here is something, like I would like to give an example. Like supposing somebody says, okay, and something which I may not like, or it might just not feel good to me, like Ganesh, you're stupid, or you're silly, or something like they might just say. And he'll say, supposing somebody comments something which kind of hurts me or something, and now I get that feeling. He says, okay, Ganesh, you're a big miser. And it's like, what is he saying? And you know what? Usually in a normal situation, it's like from your mind, you go and you respond. But when you say stay in that feeling, it means he said those words, somebody said those words, it now striked me. At the feeling level, I'm there. I'm just trying to cushion myself from that, whatever he said, he or she or whoever said it. And then how do I stay there without responding or reacting, and then just give it to Baba and make myself feel normal? So just going one level down and being like into a situation like.
Yeah, you mean how to feel the pain with and not react. Ideally, you can feel the pain and respond. Like you could say something insulting to me and I could say, ouch, that hurt. That's you know, there I'm responding. I'm not blaming you. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not, what can I say, leveling negativity on you. Or you just take it and you feel it and you don't say too much. You know, you get hurt and you bear it. And maybe at a later point you can talk about it. Sometimes they're not even interested in it later on. I mean, I've gotten hurt a lot and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just I've had to bear it because there was no interest in trying to help the relationship out so that it isn't so hurtful. Some people, they say if they don't like you, you have to, and their behave, their words and their actions hurt, but they don't like you anyway, so it's hard to work anything out with them. So what do? You know, you feel it, and then you try to bring Baba into it as best you can. It's great if someone does want to work something out and take it all the way down, and not just you know, this, when you're trying to work it out and they say, no, I don't want to work it out. That's painful.
Well, are these things, Jeff, things that one has to come to when it's the time to start looking within? Or do you think that, I mean, I just wondering, like, how many lifetimes does one live in a reactionary kind of sanskaric lifetime? And when you get to the point where you can reflect on these reactions, like somebody hurts your heart, and instead of wanting to rip their face off, you just don't respond that way, and you just kind of, you don't react that way, but you can respond, and then all of a sudden there's a spaciousness in your in experiencing the interior, and you can experience that total. You can kind of even get into the place where it feels like your whole being is on fire, or what you think is your being, but like you're not doing the thing that you know is going to run down that train that same way. I mean, don't you think that takes kind of, so I guess it's just when the fruit falls from the tree or something, it's like we've got no other choice, right? I mean,
well, it's a slow and tedious process.
Right.
I mean, I would say, in other words, it's not something like you say, you go to a weekend seminar and you learn how to deal with people who hurt your feelings, and you come away, hey, I got it now. It's very slow, very
it feels counterintuitive sometimes, because they're so used to reacting, or you're so used to maybe moving energy with your words and your thoughts in a certain direction, when someone perhaps is being just, you know, so careless with their own thing. You think you start to wrap it around with justice, or you start to wrap it around, you're like, this person deserves this, and then you have a story. I mean, to start to break that is very, I think that for me is could be considered daring, because what would make anybody want to really do that? You know, why would you really want, because you spent so many lifetimes in so many situations, and all these lives, like, you get your ways, or you learn to live and survive a certain way, and to stop doing that seems like that middle ground could be kind of breaking up the foundations of who you thought you were, and what you think you're doing, and there must be something to hold on to. And if you don't have that, the master, I'm sure it just feels like terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, because then what are you doing? Because it's pain. Because the love will just break your heart.
Yeah.
To the deepest point.
Yeah, I mean, it's written into the whole. Baba has written it. This is a very compassionate universe, and we're all moved into that place gradually. You know, we will want to be in harmony with things, and there's a longing for that, and it drives us to do all these little tedious things, so that we move from reacting. Like if someone comes up to me and they're angry, the normal thing is to vibrate in unison with that anger, and so you just come back with the same thing.
Right.
So it's very hard to take that anger and let it hit you, but not just come back with the same stuff. You're basically deconditioning something that we have been holding on to for lifetimes. And Baba's going to make that, he's going to bring that off in us.
Mm.
You know, that's his work.
No, that makes a lot of sense the way you said that.
And it takes a long, it takes, years and years. It gets better.
Mm.
Telly, before you go out the door, what do you think?
Yeah. It's a long process, that's for sure.
But those little incremental bit of growth can be exciting.
It's true. It builds your enthusiasm, actually, and to see that something that used to affect you doesn't, or just some other small changes that come about, and it's a very pleasant part of the path.
Yeah. And you can really get excited about very minuscule changes.
Yeah.
If you focus on that. But if you're kind of saying, oh God, I'm still reacting, but I'm reacting just a little bit less, you can actually live off of that.
Yeah, that's quite true. And certain people that maybe would have affected me a certain way, it's not that way. Or even when I might be hurt about something, it just doesn't resonate for long. I just kind of put in a larger perspective and figure everybody's doing the best they can, even if it seems crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Wendy Haynes tells a story about, Kitty and Margaret and Elizabeth were there at Dilruba on the back porch, and and she was there, and Margaret said some kind of sharp remark at Kitty, and it was obvious, it was clear to Wendy that Kitty had been hit, got hurt. And afterwards, she said,
Sagar, ye le le aur sign kar le.
Oh, do you ever not get over this? And Kitty said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, no, but you get through it faster. Something that might have disturbed her for a month, she can get through it in a half hour or 2 hours. You know what I mean? So that is great improvement,
So this is Marion. May I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really sparked by you, Alan, and also you, Jeff. Well, everybody, because I've been part of practice groups and empathy groups for a long time, based on Marshall Rosenberg's development of nonviolent communication, and because we learn to identify feelings and needs, and like what you were saying, Jeff, you have to, follow your feelings. Well, sometimes there's a lot of confusion that people have, what are feelings and what are not feelings. And so we make those distinctions. Like sometimes somebody might say, oh, I feel abandoned, or I feel attacked, or I feel coerced or cornered or criticized. Well, these are not feelings. And because underneath those will be real feelings. I feel some pain or sadness or I feel irritated, or and then there may be a lot of positive feelings somewhere. So what I've learned is, like what Baba said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he said something like, I will not, give you what you want, like satisfy your wants, but I will always fulfill your needs. And so I thought, sometimes with me, it takes some digging to find my needs. It's not just like, oh, I need lunch, or oh, I need this. So I'm finding questions are very powerful. With Baba, what are my needs right now? Or if I'm reacting, to be able to feel the difference between reacting and responding. So these are very subtle energies. The energy body's very, very involved here. So we will, in our practice, we will help each other, like in a circle with our empathy groups, where we will present something that we're going through, whatever, and people ask us, well, are you feeling, it's XYZ, whatever it is, because you have a need to be seen and heard for your real self. And we'll really help direct each other, and it really opens those channels, because I thought channels have to be open and cleared so that I can intuitively, as Baba said, we're here to balance the head and the heart, with the heart leading the way, and that is intuition, and that is God.
Yeah.
So I often have to open my channels for intuition, because sometimes they're clogged with the feeling of being like a victim, like, oh, you did that to me, or, he blamed me, or something like that. Those are not feelings. Those are reactions. So I find that this practice, as taught by, Marshall Rosenberg's no longer living, but as taught by him, and the legacy left of all of us who practice that, is so helpful of getting to the core of things. Just like you have to go to school to learn to add ABC, or have to add 1, 2, 3 and all that. Communication is really an art, and that means the inner communication. And so for me to even ask Baba, if I get to a real need, I have a need to really be more seen and heard. I can ask, oh, what support do I need for that? And I can turn that over to Baba, and the answer will always come in some way.
Beautiful.
So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Hey, I see David DeFau. What do you think, David? Put him on the spot.
Hey, hi everyone. Hi Jeff.
Hey.
I think this is just beautiful listening to this. I don't know, maybe I've had a little bit of the winter blues lately, but maybe too much in my head, but listening to this beautiful talking from your heart, it brings me down into my heart. It's beautiful.
Good. Yeah. I've always kind of felt that you can kind of, things kind of bounce off of you as far as, you don't get hurt quite as much as a lot of people. I might be wrong, but I always kind of felt that you were able to kind of recover quickly.
Yeah, I think a lot of times. Yeah. I think though I might spend too much time in my head. Yeah. Just listening to this. I think this is a really lovely practice that you're talking about, that I have to try to be in it.
Yeah. The heart is just so much more substance, more expansive, richer, and closer to the source of love.
Yeah. I've honestly felt Baba as
a little louder, David.
Oh, I just was saying that I think one of the things that I've really appreciated from getting from Baba is just to try to see things in an optimistic way, or a positive.
Hey David, your mic is muted, or not muted, it's muffled. You might have your finger over your speaker.
Oh, I don't know. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was just saying that, what was I saying? That I just feel that Baba has, I think one of the practices I've tried to do with Baba is, in any situation, just try to find something optimistic about it. And that is one way to certainly deflect negativity,
Yeah. Excellent.
You know, I find that when I lately the thoughts that are very subtle, negative, I spend a lot of time and with thoughts and being addicted to thoughts that are more depressive in my lifetime since my childhood. And so to not, I find these very subtle thoughts that come in that say something along the lines of like, "Hey, you're just fooling yourself." Like if I have a positive thought, or if I focus on Baba, and I'm all of a sudden feeling this kind of elation, or not. I mean, it's not like a frivolous like elation. It's just like within my heart, this kind of lifting and this lightness and this spaciousness. Then the thought can come in that's like, well, who are you feeling yourself? You got too many problems to be able to feel this right now. You got too many. You haven't done enough to be able to live in that kind of joy. So let's just bring it down a notch, all right? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's. But then it's so slow and so subtle, and it's like this little. It's like the purr of this depression kitty. It's like just makes me all of a sudden don't remember that I can focus on Bob or something. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just it's so subtle.
One more thing, like, just
go ahead.
thinking, like, so I mean, in a situation also, it depends on like what kind of energy you're having. Like certain times you have all the good energy and you're feeling good. So it's like you remember Baba, you act best, you hold on to Baba. Certain times you just don't have that energy to go through it, and you're like, oh God, what is this? Like, and at that time, like, to use all your tools of having Baba, remembering him, getting him, and you're just not having that much enough energy to use all your tools. Like, so even that sort of situation, it's kind of like somewhere that energy also plays a role. And what I've seen is that not always we have the same level of energy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm making sense. Yeah, Jeff,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something y'all can connect to, but that's what, like.
Yeah. That's why, sometimes Baba's name can build up your inner vitality so you can actually feel like tackling some of this stuff, or feel like you have enough vitality to bring your consciousness down. I mean, I have to do that with Baba's name, get some inner vitality going, centering in Baba in some way to get the inner vitality so that I can stay at the heart level and not just float up to the mind and then have to deal with negative thoughts and positive thoughts. And, ideally, if you got a negative thought, then you got to come with a positive thought, and then the negative, and just drop down below that. Because there's usually some feeling that's provoking all of the thinking. It might be a feeling of being worthless, of neglected or lonely. There are some very basic feelings that are actually feeding the all of the thought activity upstairs. And you can, you can try to find out, well, why am I thinking of all of this anyway? Why is all this mental activity going up there? What feeling is feeding that? I don't feel like I'm expressing myself enough. I don't feel like I feel trapped. I feel like I'm on I'm on a rat race or whatever. I'm down here, something I'm being trampled on, but get in touch with that feeling. And then a lot of the thought just evaporates.
So in turn, is that like is that like it's like a green onion and you follow it all the way down to the bulbous part, and then, but then in that place, it feels like it waters your eyes, it's so painful and it burns. And to stay in that place, I guess, maybe is the work with Baba, because you can like maybe at first contact it and then be like, whoa, that's way too much, and then kind of jump out, and then slowly over time maybe go back again and again, and so you kind of can sit there long enough until you could look at it and then rest with it and really give it over to Bob. I mean, but even some of these things, I feel like Darwin said, that moment where Baba wasn't even looking at him, and there was that thing, that blockage that he had, that he immediately felt Baba kind of just like swipe away, but he immediately knew that he at the same time was holding on to it just as hard as it was leaving. And so I think there's some of those things that I think I've maybe touched in on that are very, maybe it's just not the time for it to be kind of cleared.
I mean, when you're down at that feeling level too, there's a little bit of humor about it with Baba. Like, hey, Baba, here I am. I'm working on this stuff again. You know, really, I get, you know, it's like, oh my God, that anxiety is back. Here I am dealing with this stuff again. But I mean, the more you bring Baba into it, of course, you get that expands in that way. You know, you get that expansiveness of his help. But even just sharing it with him and knowing that he's seeing you dealing with, now I'd like to, that boss is, you know, Baba, this boss is, you know, frustrating me. I'd like to just knock his block off, you know, and you got all this stuff going on there. And I think Baba gets a kick out of it. You know, I mean, it's like, here you are like a free human being and you're totally trapped by a reaction, you know, and there's something kind of humorous about it. You know, previously you went into work and you were like this, and now you're down below because the boss is finding fault with you and everything. You know, all of those things. I mean, Baba loves us to try to share that with him. You know, we think, well, what kind of miserable gift is that? You know, but we are sharing who we are with the one we love. That's the that's the thing. Doesn't have to be roses, fresh roses. You know, it can be the weeds. Baba likes weeds. Yeah.
Jeff, can I say something?
Yeah, Cindy, good, good. Yeah.
Wonderful listening to everyone tonight. For me, it takes a real level of humility to be able to feel happy for no reason. We're happy in the face of people yelling at me about how bad I am or the world is. And I say humility because my pride will want to argue with them. My pride, my ego will want to plead a case or feel bad or whatever it is. But I think it takes real humility for me to just surrender to God and that causeless cheerfulness that we have spoken about. And what I've noticed is, and I think we talked about this at Effort and Grace, that my mind will go to negative thoughts and inspire negative feelings in the absence of feeling nothing, like just neutral, nothing. And I was saying to myself, Cindy, I have faith in you to be able to feel this nothingness right now, rather than to cause a feeling or re-trigger a trauma, and just go, which I think is like the valley of the shadow of death, like to walk through that nothingness into the causeless cheerfulness. And I feel it as a real energetic place. And that's when Baba with me, I have to do it alone, but I know that Baba is me, so we do it together. And I'm loving the conversation and everyone's honest sharing about their process. And for me, it's like, my pride has to simmer down to be causelessly cheerful, even in the face of, I could convince a choir of angels and a council of bishops how terrible things are.
Yeah. No, excellent. Yeah, all these things, over time, our inner life will go on expanding as we deal with this nitpicking stuff. You know, hey, we haven't heard from Priya. I wanted to. She's probably gone off to eat breakfast. or Jen, let's hear how you weigh in on this stuff. She's a nurse, so she's She knows what it's like to be in tight quarters and a lot of negativity going around.
Oh, well, right now I'm fortunate enough to, I have more of an administrative position, so I work from home, which has been very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Over the years, I think it's like anything, it takes practice, and it's the practice, when you, for me, sometimes, went for a walk. I'm working from home, and I live in my neighborhood is really, I love my neighborhood, and I was going for a walk, and I was ruminating on something from work on my walk, and I was like, just stop. Say 3 things right now about how lovely it is to be where you are. And I'm like, I'm outside and the wind is on my face. I'm walking in my neighborhood. I my manager doesn't micromanage me. I have all this room and space. And so I find myself when I'm going down that track to just stop myself and make myself say 3 things that are really happening in the moment that are wonderful. And just come into the present and stay in the present and focus on the present. And humility is huge. And that's another one, and humor. And I often will just say to Barbara, are you serious? We have to go here again? Are you serious? And I, even tonight, I was just thinking, remember, and I just pulled this out. Remember, Baba's depiction of the universe is a chicken. It's this little guy. And he wants us to remember to find the lightness and humor in a lot of situations, and it's not always easy, and I tend towards, in a lot of my life I've tended more towards the more difficult emotional side of things, but I finally you tire of it, and all of a sudden you want to put more energy into the more positive things and really focusing and bringing Baba in. I always remember wanting a best friend when I was growing up, and I've had plenty of good friends. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, Baba's there all the time. Make Baba your best friend. And I do share funny things and everything at times. And it's not consistent and all the time, but I will sometimes, I live on my own. And sometimes I'll make a really beautiful meal and I'll think, oh, I don't have someone to share it with. And then I'll go, I'll just share it with Baba. And Baba's very appreciative of it. It's really sweet. But if I remember him, he's right there sharing with me. And I think that for me is very
Beautiful.
important. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's the spirit. Let's find out from Priya. What are your thoughts?
Everything that was shared here really resonated with me. I mean, all the feeling of, sometimes unworthiness or like you don't belong or you don't deserve it, be it his love, be it his grace, they all come. Sorry about that. But it's interesting, all the tools that are being shared and what you said once about, that Baba's name is a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah.
That really helps, in that moment of hurt or not being seen or heard. You really sit and ask yourself, what is it that's really getting hurt? Is it you, or is it the ego that wants to be, And I guess that's where Baba comes in and takes over.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's an important line.
What's that?
I think that's an important thing for me, is like who is it that is experiencing this? Not in a argumentative way with myself, like who are you, but really who are you? Who am I? Who is the one that is having this experience? It kind of, I don't know, sometimes even that thought can strike a little crack in the screen that the film that I'm watching that I think is really, really real. Yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah. One of the things that I found I got from Erich, if you wind up feeling lonely, you know, just think of yourself as serving. You're a caretaker of this world, of everyone. And if you are a caretaker of this world, it takes a tremendous presumption, but it's in fact true. If you're a caretaker of this world, everybody, every animal, the trees, all that you can do, then it all belongs to you. It all belongs to you and Baba. And there's no, and someone might reject you, but you're there, a caretaker for them. So they might reject you, but you're not rejecting them. You'll, if you feel yourself determined to be a caretaker in every moment, you will not feel alone or lonely or neglected, because you are not neglecting anyone. You're not neglecting anything. You know, Rumi said something like, if you want to be held, hold out your arms and embrace somebody. Or well, what was it? Krishnamurti was a saint of India. If you want to be loved, just love. When you love, you're no longer asking yourself whether someone loves you. If you want to be loved, just love. I got to get the words of this. If you want to be loved, just love. When you love, you're no longer asking whether or not someone loves you. It's a beautiful thing. It will.
Yes, and I've found this over the years that, you know, when you're hurt or, you know, you are experiencing something negative, when you take the focus to somebody else other than yourself, and just like Baba says, love others as you would want to love me, it really changes the entire conversation in your being.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. But it takes a lot of audacity. Who am I? But, you know, someone say to Erich, who am I to be a caretaker of everyone? And Erich would say, who are you not to be a caretaker of everyone? He's always turned it around. Wow. This is really, I mean, these are things that are, I just feel invaluable to ponder. All these nuances and different ways that people deal with, you know, with this relationship with Baba. And
what I felt, one thing, Jeff, is that we read a lot. Then what happens is that we know a lot, but when we are in that situation, even to get that right wisdom, and that takes Baba's grace, because sometimes, oh, why didn't I think about that? Oh, I knew that I could have done that better. Oh, why did I burst into that moment of anger? I could have just hold love in my heart. And you're like, why couldn't I? So it's sometimes I think it's like, Baba, give me the right wisdom in that situation, is something I feel that we also need to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because sometimes you know it, but when you're in that situation, it just doesn't trigger that thought, or what, oh, the Mandali used to do that, or Baba did say that, and that we might have read it many times, but it doesn't just trigger in that situation. And that's where we kind of have to depend on Baba for giving the right wisdom at the right situation.
Yeah, and Baba, I mean, the Mandali, I mean, Baba trained them over 30 and 40 years so that they would respond to things rather than react to things, you know. I mean, that wasn't something that they just picked up in 1922 and now they had it. Because it's a revolution. It's a revolution in the heart. You know, here's a thing that Darwin used to say things to me, and it would go completely over my head, but I'd feel the truth of it, and then years later, I would come to that inner place and I'd say, oh, wow, this is what Darwin was talking about. And one of the things that is something to ponder, I mean, it's way out there, but it's actually very integral to everything. And that is that love doesn't have any vibration. Love is still. Love is impressionless. And the highest, and there's love, and then the highest good is in the realm of impressions. So the distinction between love expresses itself spontaneously, but even though it doesn't have a vibration, it hits our personality and stirs up all of these impressions, and as it comes through us and eventually expresses it, as it passes through us into expression. But it originates beyond the impressions, beyond our sanskaras. And to get to a point where you can actually see that love is different from the highest impressions is important. To be able to distinguish between love and good. And the whole spirit, I mean, love is not even spiritual. I mean, spirituality has impressions, and then the gross world has impressions, but love is impressionless. It's a state of being, and then that state of being has the spontaneous urge to be generous. And so it hits us, and bam, before you know it, we're kind of cooking up a meal and we're making preparing a birthday party for somebody. But it started out beyond impressions and hit our impressions, and it gets top priority as it goes through us, and we carry it out. But that's different from, things that come from the realm of the highest good, or from a spiritual states. And that's why Baba says, forget about the spiritual, go right to the real, go right to love itself. Anyway, these are kind of things that
somewhere I heard or read is one thing is that love is spontaneous and good is with self-interest. I don't know. I just recall. I don't know if you shared that, Jeff, but somewhere I heard or read. So
good there's nothing wrong with good, but compared to love, it doesn't have that pristine beauty and purity and spontaneity. Good, the highest good is at best a millisecond behind, short of being spontaneous. But anyway, I throw that out because these are the kind of things that Darwin would throw out, and I'm thinking, what? Love is impressionless, and good, the highest good is in the realm of impressions. Wow. But those are places within us, and it helps. I found that things that he would say like that would my consciousness would start like pondering things like that, trying to fathom that. Yeah. Anyway, I throw that out as
Jeff, this is Marion again. Thank you so much, because I don't have anybody particularly to quote about this, but it was something that came to me the other day that someone was speaking about who was a visionary. And when you're talking about love, and because, it's what keeps the whole, all of creation going is love. And we are energy beings, and everything you said is so right on. And then this person who's a high visionary said, yes, in the New Age, whatever you want to call it, in time, that the energy on the planet, like now we use coal and gas and oil and some solar and some wind power, will be generated by love. It really made me sit up. I thought, oh. So I just let that kind of sink in without a discussion, that energy, as you described it, as you described it. And I thought, could that be? Could that be that someday our, power plants or whatever it is that's giving us a light bulb or whatever, maybe in hundreds and hundreds of years, will be run by the energy of love.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that in because it made me sit up. And then when you're talking about that, I thought, yeah, possibly. So it just makes me smile. That's all I have to share.
I mean, yeah, the more we're vehicles, when love comes knocking at the door, we just become a vehicle and let it come through us. That's ideally, and that's grace. I mean, that's Baba comes knocking at the door and he gets something done through you, and it seems it comes from a different dimension. But anyway.
I've been thinking about that lately, definitely. Just the whole thing of, I think someone was talking about giving things to Baba, or Baba, you live this day, right? And sometimes when I think it's by his grace, where I wonder if it's, it's not really, actually, I don't really wonder anymore. It's time's moving very fast. All these things are moving very fast, but now I don't wonder anymore because it's more of an experience where I really am, where he's really there, and I'm very, very aware of the the separation is when he's there, yeah, it just yeah, it's like the day is lighter.
Yeah. And meaningful.
Yeah.
I just find that having something meaningful to do in this world, God, we're blessed, Hey,
Yeah.
Diane, any comments from you? Did you just joining or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuesdays are always hard because we have,
Yeah, you have your meeting.
one that starts at the same time you do.
Yeah.
And it is excruciating to leave one and go to
Yeah.
another. And
Well.
it's great to be at that one. But Terry's down for the count for the night.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking, we got onto a whole thing here, and it is to me, it's very fascinating, and it brings the light of consciousness on these places within us, and it's helpful. But you came in a little late, but you can all this is on the on the is recorded, Well, let's find from Jacima. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Jeff, I had a question about thoughts. Like when you told we should not give importance to the thoughts. So there will be like in day-to-day life, thoughts are important. Like say, I have a thought like I have to call my friend tomorrow to find out how he's doing.
Yeah.
I'll have to go to my relatives and see what they are doing. So these are also thoughts, or are they classified as feelings?
Well, I mean, thoughts are useful for practical reasons, You got an appointment and you have to remember that. But to use thought to determine what the truth is about something, or how to move into a deeper realm within yourself, thought won't be helpful. But it's good because it tells you how old you are when you were born, your social security number, but it's keep it at that level. But to use thought to judge other people is a mistake, because it's too superficial. Like trying to hear with your nose, it's not it's the wrong medium. Although the must hunter Beidel could sniff out musts. That was what Baba said about him. Okay. Mayor Prasad, any reflections? What you said was very good. earlier. Anything, any comments on?
No, what you said really resonates with me, Jeff. Thoughts really, they don't really have any value whatsoever at all, unless we use them, towards fulfilling our duties. That's the only time they have any value. Outside of that, really, they serve no purpose at all, and it's better to be just operating at the heart level.
Yeah.
There are definitely times when when we react, and that I think that is inevitable. But over time, we get to the point where we get over those reactions, fast enough. They don't linger on too much, because you realize that the thoughts have no value. So whatever, Jeff, you said, it really resonates with me.
Yeah. And I mean, the reaction can be at the heart level too, which is, I mean, it can stay at the heart level. I mean, that's, I don't like it, but if the reaction comes up into the head, then it gets really complicated. Yeah. Well, hey, oh my, we're over the we're burning the midnight oil now. Any last minute pondering? Sham, we're going to get you next time.
Okay, that is right.
Yeah. We kind of got waylaid here on this, we got waylaid on the spiritual path here.
There were better things than
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. What about Dinku?
And one thing I have read somewhere, that thoughts are living force.
Thoughts are
living force. And must be used for our upliftment.
I missed. I didn't get all. Did anyone get all his words? I got a lousy computer.
Thoughts
I think Sham said thoughts are living force and must be used for upliftment. Right,
Excellent.
Sham?
Yeah. Yeah. They can help in that way. I mean, but what is behind the thoughts that's doing the uplifting? It's the heart. But let's see if we can wake up Dinku. Hello, Dinku. Oh, I guess we put her to sleep. Nasreen, you're there, right?
Yes, indeed.
Were you able to make any sense of what we were talking about?
Yeah, kind of.
Good.
I just understand love.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
Marge, are you there? Jay, his kids came and jumped on him, one of his kids. So it took him out of the ball game.
Yeah,
there he is. Hey.
but we've been listening though.
Oh, good.
Great
good.
conversation.
Look at Marinaz. Are you still there?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for such an insight shares from everybody.
Yeah.
It was really lovely.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, always nice to see you.
It's just, sometimes, Jeff, sometimes when I don't have time to be here, I listen to the recording on my spare time, and it's just so beautiful.
Oh, well, good.
To be able to listen to these recordings, and I'm so grateful that we have Baba given us such a great opportunity, having this Zoom at this difficult time we are living, so that we not only be able to connect with everybody all over the world, but also be able to record things and listen to them later when we do have a time. So yeah, it's just so wonderful. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Baba.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's like where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's love, there's a way. It just, you just can't ever completely repress love. It just will get in there. Now, let's see.
So here is a quote. Just I
Okay.
want to share it. Small one. Remember him in every little thing you do. The responsibility will then rest with him. So I just repeat. Remember him in every little thing you do. The responsibility will then rest with him. Meher Baba. This is from the book Meher Baba Calling, page 10.
Yeah. And Marcia, read one of those sayings on the barn. There's there are a number of sayings that Baba had posted in the barn in Myrtle Beach. So she's going to read one of the, there's 7 of them. Sometimes they have 3 aphorisms of Baba's. Oh. Whoop. And Mayor Chand, are you still around? Well, we saw Dinku here at the end.
I've been there all the time, but I just kept myself muted and off the video.
Yeah. Anything that struck you or anything to chime in with, or?
Well, everything was just so great. And there's so many, again, I know we're talking about thoughts, but so many thoughts, you know, whizzed around with everything that everyone shared. Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, sometimes I talk to Baba and I kind of argue with him. And, you know, like, why is this like this and why is this like that? And what could possibly be the purpose, you know, your purpose in this situation, especially now to do with the pandemic. And it's like a conversation, a one-sided conversation mainly.
Well, you can be sure it's a 2-sided conversation, except he's observing silence.
Yeah.
Okay, I found them. Sorry. This is just the first one, I think. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real happiness lies in making others happy. The real desire is that which leads you to become perfect in order to make others perfect. The real aim is that which aims to make others become God by first attaining godhood yourself. Meher Baba.
Yeah. Beautiful. You know, just at the end, I thought of how closely Baba follows this. There's a woman named Hetty Mertens, and she was there in India with Baba, and she had her kids at home in Switzerland. And she was worried about her son. And, you know, she's there in India with Baba, and, you know, and her kids are back in Switzerland. And Baba says, you know, how do you know they're not just, I mean, this isn't an exact quote, but how do you know they're not just having a picnic right now? And then Baba goes like this. He made a very funny, you know, I mean, he didn't make any note, you know, he just kind of made a funny gesture like that. And she didn't think anything of it. But a couple of weeks later, a photograph came, and the kids are there in the photograph at a picnic, and her son is right in front of the camera going like this with his nose. So he knows
Amazing.
So intimately. I mean, he's not going to just spend all of his time showing us that. But there's so many instances where Baba knew exactly what you know, what people are doing and the way they're feeling and all of that. How could he know that? Except it's not like he comes in and checks in on Dinku on the weekends. You know, I wonder how she's doing. You know, he's there all the time. You know, but there's
I have
unconscious.
one more short quote. I have one more quote that just popped up on my screen.
Yeah.
When mind soars in pursuit of the things conceived in space, it pursues emptiness. But when man dives deep within himself, he experiences the fullness of existence. And that's 1964.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Right about the time we were putting people on the moon, I think.
I graduated high school then, 1964.
Hey,
I'm
well,
really old.
I think you know, you guys are way up past your bedtime.
Yeah.
Even Diane, you know, she's just barely kind of getting reclining there. Anyway, see all you folks, and
Thank you so much. Yeah.
are we coming up? What Christmas is? So all of you have a wonderful Christmas,
Thank you.
and
Merry Christmas to all of you.
yeah, and we won't see each other probably until next Sunday or whatever.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Much love. Yep.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Mer Baba, Jeff.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you.
See you later.
Jai Baba.
Jai Mer Baba, Jeff. Merry Christmas in Baba's love.
Yeah,
Jai Mer Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Jai Baba.
Har Meher Baba
Jai.
ki
Jai.
Jai Baba. Yeah.
Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai.